Okay, we are on Sukkah Chav Beis Amid Aleph. Chav Beis Amid Aleph. Let's get a little bit of a head start, especially we're starting a new week. I hope everyone did Chazar over Shabbos. But in the event that anyone didn't, let's just get a quick head start. We'll start from the Mishnah. We'll read the first part quickly, and then we'll get into the Shita of Rava. So we have a Sukkah Hameduv Leles. We have a Sukkah that we need the pictures. Oh yeah, Kayin, I'm sorry. No, it's one bookshelf also over.
Where is it?
Next to the Tanya, left side. There you go. Sukkah Hameduv Leles, and she Selasa Mubrach Hamalsa Shkoyach, and the shade is more than the sun. Ksheira, Hamova Kimin Bayis, a fixed chach. Aval Bishen Kechavim near, and even though you cannot see the stars. Miteicha Ksheira. So we're going to deal with case A of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Rav Chaim with the tie. Maya Hameduv Leles. What is Tuvleles? Asks the Gemara. Two answers. Amarav, Sukkah Aniya, a meager sukkah, a sukkah with not a lot of schach. Ushmuel Amar, Kana Eile, V'Kana Yored. Says Shmuel, you have this two-layer schach situation. So says the Gemara, Rav Tani Chada, Ushmuel Tani Tarti. Rav learned the first case of the Mishnah that it's... Oh, that's awkward. Excuse me. I'm sorry. We have notifications popping up. There we go. That's better. Apologies, everyone. We're back on. Rav Tani Chada, Shmuel Tani Tarti. Rav Tani Chada, meaning the ratio of the Mishnah, is one case. What does it mean? It's one case, says the Gemara, Sukkah Miduv Leles. What does the word Miduv Leles mean? My Miduv Leles, Midul Deles. Dal, it's poor. Interesting why the Gemara switches from Aniyah to Midul Deles. A little interesting. The Gemara has the same word twice. Shatzi Lasam, what does it mean according to Rav? It's all one case that has more shade than sun. Shatzi Lasam Ruchamasa. Ksheira. Shmuel Tani Tarti. My Miduv Leles, Mivul Veles. Staggered. V'tarti Katani, it's two different cases. Sukkah Mivul Veles is Ksheira. In case number two, Silasa Miruba Michamasa is Ksheira. Amar Abayi. Now we're diving deeper in the din of Shmuel, in this staggered sukkah, in this dual-layered sukkah over here. Says Abaye, Amar Abaye, Lo Yishanu, El She'ein Bein Zel Lezeh Gimel Tvachim. This is only when there's not a space in between the two of 3 Tvachim, because then we could say Lavud, and that's when Shmuel, and I want to point out again, the Chiddush of Shmuel is that in this case, is there more shade than sun? The answer is no. There is more sun than shade. You're sitting in the sukkah and it's a lot of sun. It's still kosher. Why is it kosher? Because Shmuel views it halachically as if the top layer comes down and ki'ilu as if there is shade. But there is not shade. That is the massive chiddush according to Shmuel. Aval yesh bein zel lezeh gimel tvachim, it's psula. Amar Rava. So Rava, again, explaining the din of Shmuel. What is this din of the two-layered tzchach? Afilu yesh bein zel lezeh gimel tvachim, even if there are 3 tvachim, Nami, says Rava, Lo Yamara, and Shmuel only said his din, El she'ein bigagoy tefach. Gag is the roof, the top layer. Again, we didn't speak this out precise enough on Thursday night. The top layer Shmuel is talking about, the top layer over here has to be a tefach, says Rava. If the top layer is a tefach, then it will be kosher. Elashin begagoy tefach, layish begagoy tefach, then it's ksheira, even if what? It's more than 3 tefachim. So a massive chiddush. You could have the bottom layer here. What? So from the Gemara's words, we don't know any height differentiation of chavot rami. Sounds like one could be here, the other could be all the way up here. Halachically, we view because each one of these is a tefach, boom, it falls down. Amrinon, chavot rami, it comes down and closes. Now it's true, there has to be some level that it's ridiculous. Maybe 20 amas. Lo yedea.
But where does it really come from? Where does Rava?
Chavot rami. is halach l'Moshe Misinai.
We know 3 tefachim.
Good. So that's the chiddush we're going to discuss further today. That this din of chavut rami is a different halach l'Moshe Misinai. One halach l'Moshe Misinai says anytime you have 2 items within 3 tefachim, we view it as one. It's a new halach l'Moshe Misinai that anytime we have an item which is a tefach thick, this top beam is a tefach thick, then we allow it to fall down. We allow it to fall. How high? How this? We don't know any other rules. But it sounds like it's a new halacha l'Moshe Misinai called Chavot Rami. And we're about to see how far this din of Chavot Rami goes. Chavot Rami, the literal translation, I think means lower. Chavot and Rami means literally to throw, to cast. But basically it just means it falls down. That's the halacha. Rashi says, if you look at Rashi, Divrei Maskil, She'ein Begagoy, 3 lines in, Chavot Rami, Hashpel, lower, v'hashlich, and throw. Shalach means to throw. So hashbel, you lower, v'hashlich oisai, and you throw it to the airspace. So that is Rava. So again, Abaye says it's only if it's within 3 tefachim. Chavei Zaman Aleph. If it's within 3 tefachim, then we have the din of love it. Chaver, here, open up a book to page 78, Ayin Ches. If it's within 3 tefachim, says Abaye, then you have the din of lavud. Says Rava, even though it's more than 3 tefachim, for those on Zoom, we'll show you one more time. Even though it's more than 3 tefachim, if the top layer...
The camera, by the way.
What? I'm looking at the wrong camera, excuse me. How does that happen? That is so good. Look, that camera, it's on and not that camera. Ari, tech? Where's my tech guy? Ari, help me. It's on the wrong camera. How's that? How in the world? How's it on that side, not that side?
No, other side.
The other one.
How does that make any sense?
Very good.
How does that make any sense?
That camera's being used. See the green light?
Oh, thank you. See, this is why we have a tech guy, Chevra. If you want to know what that's going to be billed, don't ask questions. There it is. That was confusing. No, but Ari, 2 points. That was a marvelous Minos machine. You got to plug in the machine for it to work. So here you go. That if it's more than 3 tefachim, says Rava, if the top one, as you see so beautifully now in your camera, you see amazingly, that if the top one is a tefach, then, says Rava, it falls down and it goes and it closes the gap. Closes the gap underneath it. Says the Gemara, Amar Rava, says Rava, Mina Amin Allah, from where do we know? Techi is bei tefach. That when it is a tefach, dechi, that when isbei, there is to it, tefach atefach, amrinon, we say chavot rami, we say this new halach l'Moshe Misinai, this new din of lower and cast, that we allow the top layer to fall down, v'chilesbei, and when it is not a tefach, loy amrinon chavot rami, we do not say this din of chavot rami. Where do we know this din from? Says the Gemara, Tetenan, as we learned in a Mishnah. So this Mishnah that we're about to quote is the source for this din of Chavot Rami. What is the din of Chavot Rami? That whenever I have a plank that is 1 tefach wide, we allow it to fall down halachically and cover the gap underneath it. Tetenan, we learned in a Mishnah, Kairos habayis, the beams of a house, the ha'aliyah, and the upper level. Now we'll read the words, and actually, you know what? Let's go picture first. Here you go. Kairos habayis, the ha'aliyah. Basically, it's literally Shmuel's din. You have a house that has 2 layers. You have the top roof and you have the middle floor. Then you have planks of wood, but there's no plaster. The floor was not finished yet. The ceiling was not finished yet. So for all intents and purposes, all you have is 2 levels of planks of wood, each one a tefach wide. Very simple. Imagine you're looking up at the ceiling. There's no ceiling, and all you have is tefach wide beams. And then you go up on the next floor. Well, you shouldn't go up there. It's probably pretty dangerous. And you look at the next ceiling, and all you have is tefach wide beams. Says the Mishnah, she'ein aleihem ma'aziva, that there's no plaster, ma'aziva, plaster on top of them. Why do we care there's no plaster? All the Mishnah is saying is that the floor is not finished. Is that you have these planks literally like this, and there's nothing in between them. If there's something in between them, then it's called a floor, and then this whole Mishnah doesn't apply. But if you have planks like this with nothing in between them, that's what we are discussing. Ve'in aleim aziva, ve'hei mechuvanois, mechavein, and they are aligned. Thank you, Archko. They are aligned. They are directly one on top of another. So what is the din? Toma, and with this we're going to stop for the day. Toma tachas achas mehem. If there's toma underneath one of them, tachteho tame. Underneath it will be tame. I'm just going to read the first case of the Mishnah, and then we'll explain outside. If there's tuma between the bottom level and the top level, we'll call that floor 2. Beineihem tame. In between it is tame. Al gabe el yoina. If there's tuma on top of the building, kinegda, opposite it, ad lirakia, until the sky is tame. Now, from what we read so far, we saw nothing about Chavot Rami, which is why we quoted this Mishnah, but we'll have to say that tomorrow. What did we see? What we saw is, what you see in this case, that you have these planks opposite each other. So what do we see? The halacha of Tumah is that once something is a tefach, then it is an oyel, a word that we've seen already. It is an oyel over the Tumah. So for example, our ceiling here is a tefach. So if there were to be a dead body, Rahman al-Islam, in this building, Rav Yossi wouldn't be here with us, but then the rest of us would be Tami. Why? Because once there's Tama under a tefach plank, anything under that plank is Tami. So in this case, if there's Tuma under that plank, let's say there's one plank on top of me, whatever's under this plank is Tami. If there's Tuma on the next level, whatever is under that plank is Tami. If there's Tuma on top of the building, then there's nothing catching it. There's no roof. Then the Tuma goes up till heaven. We saw nothing yet for why we brought this Mishnah. We brought this Mishnah to show the halachic concept of Chavot Rami, that we allow beams to fall. So far we saw no falling beams. So far all we saw is 2 levels of beams. And if there's Tuma, let's use this example. Let's say each of my fingers are a tefach. I would be oik. If each finger is a tefach, if there's Tuma right here, then what happens? Anything underneath this tefach beam would be Tameh. So if there's a dead body here and a guy standing here, they would be Tameh. Case 2 is there's someone standing up here in between level 2 and the roof, then this area is Tameh. Case 3 is if it's up here, then the Tuma goes to Shemayim. Tomorrow we'll finish the Mishnah, which will be the Raya. When we chazer now, let's try to chazer the whole thing to give us the running start.